Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our YouTube channel, and it is my hope and prayer that this video is actually going to find you guys in good health. Personally, I am fine. Kisumu is also fantastic. Maybe you could let me know where you are watching the video from, the county or the country, in case you are out of the republic. Ladies and gentlemen, Ali Hassan Joho, the ODM Deputy Party leader and the former governor from Mombasa, took a break from politics. And it is now evident that that break affected or impacted negatively on ODM party, especially in Mombasa and in the coastal region in general. Ali Hassan Joho made a comeback last week and is already making moves that is causing serious political headache for Kenya Kwanza. Because you all know that immediately Hassan Joho exited the political scene, Azimio or ODM expected the governor for Mombasa to take charge. But the governor for Mombasa decided to take a different trajectory. He wanted to be with Kenya Kwanza, work with them, at the same time sustain his friendship with ODM party. Politics, I believe, don't work like that. So Ali Hassan Joho made a comeback last week, and yesterday he held a meeting with ODM brigades from Mombasa and from coastal region. That meeting is significant, and in this video, I want us to look at probably the few issues which might have been discussed inside that particular meeting. I'm looking at these photos here, and I can see Joho there, I can see the Kilifi senator there, and I can see the ODM chairperson for Mombasa here. If you go further, you see several leaders, both from Mombasa, Kilifi, and other parts of the coastal region, which means Joho is actually a man on a mission. The only person I'm not seeing here is Abdul Swamad Nasir. You see here? Yeah, he's there. He's also there. Yeah, he's there. So this meeting, in my view, is significant. Before we do that, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. And in the same length, allow me to thank Ngeno. I received your coffee via Wave. Thank you so much. And you can also do the same. You can support the channel through the numbers you are seeing on your screen. Now, let us get straight to the point. And by the way, I'm getting a lot of pressure from several subscribers on this channel to talk about Mackenzie, Pastor Mackenzie. I think we'll do something later today. If not, tomorrow. If you have any information about him, please, you can let me know in the comment section. Now, let us get into the real issue. Why do you think this meeting is significant? And why should it really worry and bother Kenya Kwanza? Remember, in the absence of a leader or ODM leader in Mombasa, and the decision by the governor to work with the government and at the same time to boycott Azimio rallies, it meant ODM was going to lose Mombasa. In the coastal region, Kilifi has always been ODM home number one, and then followed by Mombasa. In Kilifi during the last election, Amason Kingi decided to support William Ruto. Amason Kingi was a key player within ODM circles, despite the fact that ODM actually ended up winning most seats and parliamentary seats. In fact, I don't think there's any constituency in Kilifi where William Ruto got 25%. The fact is, the departure of Amason Kingi also impacted heavily on ODM party. In Tana River, the governor was still facing some petition, so I think he went slow a bit. Lamu, you know where it went, ANC. Then Kwale went for ANC party, for UDA governor, despite the fact that on the ground, Raila Odinga won the presidential seat. In Taita Taveta, another coastal constituency, Mwadime won as an independent candidate because Azimio decided to support the former governor who was on a Wiper ticket. They left one of their own, who was the member of parliament for Mwatate, I think. he contested and still he won. So he's also not been very active, despite the fact that ODM is still very strong on the ground as far as Raila Odinga's votes are concerned. But the absence of Joho is what was being missed. So the meeting yesterday, in my view, number one, it provides the much needed leadership that has been lacking since Joho left political scene. And in fact, on this particular channel, at some point, I suggested that what Raila Odinga ought to have done was to reach out to Gideon Mung'aro, the governor for Kilifi, and making the kingpin in the absence of Joho. Because it was clear that Abdul Swamad Nasir is a darling of many people in Mombasa, but his brand of politics was not really what Raila Odinga and Azimio expected. They wanted someone who could steer, who could lead ODM and Azimio activities from the front. Now, by Joho coming back, organizing this meeting, it simply shows that he's taking leadership. Because it's not very easy for anybody to come from nowhere or from wherever and manage to convene such high-level meeting, unless he's respected. So I tend to think that ODM as a political party and Raila Odinga and Azimio has been missing a leader in the coastal region. Joho coming now, it means the coastal region will be able to rally around him. And that is the biggest worry for Kenya Kwanza. Kenya Kwanza would have wanted a situation like how it was currently, where there's no clear figurehead. He goes to Kwale, the governor, UDA. He goes to Kilifi, there's a governor, then there's a speaker of the National Assembly, of the Senate, then there's the CS, Aisha Jumwa. So it meant there was no figurehead really at the coast. And it was making issues of Azimio very difficult to propagate. So by Joho taking leadership, it means if, for example, Azimio wants to organize a meeting in Taita Taveta, Joho can take that lead and manage to bring together the local leadership of Azimio. So that's number one. Number two, I also tend to think that these meetings are for preparing the ground for the demonstrations. Azimio has coastal region as one of their strongholds. But during the Mandamanos, it was confined majorly in Nyanza and Nairobi. There was no activity at the coastal region. So by Joho taking charge and his brand of politics, it is simply means that Joho is going to lead Mandamano in Mombasa. In fact, Joho stated clearly that he was out of the country on health issues, and that he's now going to lead from the front because Raila Odinga is now aged. He wants to take that leadership. So for me, I'm looking at Joho organizing this team so that in case Azimio will organize demonstrations, they'll lead those demonstrations in Mombasa from the front. And that is something which Kenya Kwanza would not want to happen. They want the demonstrations to be confined to Nyanza and probably some parts of Nairobi, which they are also defining as Luo dominated. It would be easy for Joho to organize massive demonstrations in Mombasa. In fact, even the governor of Mombasa should have done that. But because he agreed to work with the government, there is no way he was going to do that. So that is something which is giving Kenya Kwanza serious political headache. Because Joho can easily organize demonstrations in Mombasa, he can organize demonstrations in Kilifi. The fact is, those are Azimio strongholds. They only lacked someone to lead them. Number three, which is also significant, I also tend to think that Raila Odinga is currently trying to consolidate ODM strongholds. In one of my videos last week, I opined that Raila Odinga is still committing the mistakes which he committed during the last election, where he focused on new grounds, which was Mount Kenya, and forgot about his strongholds. To an extent that if you look at the turnout of voters in Nyanza, 700,000 voters never voted. You go to Mombasa, for example, as a county, I think less than 60% voted, which means majority of voters never turned up. And if you look at the difference in votes, it was small, around 200,000, which was possible to get even from 2 or 3 counties from the coastal region. So I tend to think that Raila Odinga is now figuring out the best strategy for his team to consolidate his support base. In fact, if I were Raila Odinga, I would not venture into Mount Kenya currently. and let the politics of Mount Kenya to take shape. Because Raila Odinga really has serious support in the mountain. But that support is normally thwarted by propaganda. So if he were to let the mountain take care of itself, it will reach a point when the mountain will now start demanding for him, and then at that time he should go. For me, that would be more important, so that at this particular moment in time, he ought to focus, in my view, on Azimio strongholds, coastal region, meet with the leaders there, discuss with them their issues, their challenges. Why are people not nowadays very excited about Azimio? Note them down. Try to fix some of those issues. If it's about nominations, what can you tell them, the people there? So for me, consolidating the stronghold is something which Raila Odinga should be doing. And I want to believe that is exactly what Hassan Joho is doing. In fact, I was telling someone that Raila Odinga can decide not to run, but create a formation that can win the presidency. Have Kalonzo as a presidential candidate, have Oparanya or Wamalwa as a running mate. Kalonzo as presidential candidate, Oparanya or Wamalwa as running mate. Then you go and have Joho at a very senior position, then make Raila Odinga an executive prime minister. You just promise, because Ruto promised promises here. Nothing stops Raila Odinga and Azimio from telling their supporters that we are going to have Raila Odinga as the executive prime minister. Once you win, when someone wants to change, they can change. But as long as power is won, then Joho can be serious deputy prime minister in the Republic of Kenya. And that's something which I think they are also trying to do. And number 4, I'm also convinced that what Joho is doing is basically to checkmate Abdul Swamad Nasir. You know, we have how many counties from the coastal region? 5. Mombasa is a key county, which means Abdul Swamad Nasir can actually play a crucial role or a central role in Azimio politics, in Kenyan politics. But he has opted not to play that role by setting grounds to Kenya Kwanza. So I tend to think that Raila is not happy. Joho is not happy. So now they want to checkmate him, because he's saying for him he's not going to allow demonstrations to happen in Mombasa. Then Joho is going to organize demonstrations in Mombasa. Then he's going to be placed in an awkward situation where people who voted for him are on the streets, but he's not on the street. Then they'll wait to hear his side of story. What is he going to tell them? Or are they going to have someone and place him in a strategic position to either run for the governor in 2027? But I tend to think that it's about checkmating Abdul Swamad Nasir. And lastly, I'm also convinced that Hassan Joho's moves are meant or are designed to counter William Ruto's gain, especially in Mombasa. You know, we now have a Mombasa where Rigathi Gachagua can just go in the presence of a governor and talk badly about Raila Odinga. That is something that could not have happened under Joho's rule. So which means they are trying to gain grounds. Ruto is making moves in the presence of Abdul Swamad Nasir, in the presence of Mishi Mboko. I remember in Likoni the other day when Ruto was attacking Raila and Mishi Mboko was uncomfortable. Yeah, so if it were to continue like that, then it was going to mean or to send different signal. So for me, Joho is going outside there to counter William Ruto's gains. So let us wait and see how all these things are going to pan out. Thank you guys, and may you have a good day. Bye-bye.